is this topic right here, brothers. Needing help with my mentality with fighting games. Is it possible to fix my mindset? Bro, this is something that like I struggle with. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I struggle with in the moment, but in hindsight, I know how to view it now compared to before. Fighting games, I noticed a few things that ultimately hold me back from becoming good. The biggest one is my mindset. Whenever I get defeated, I get extremely salty. I don't expect to win every match. That's unrealistic. However, if I practice a combo, block strings, or if I try and learn a new character, it feels demotivating to practice. It makes me think, what was the point of all that if it amounted to nothing? And that isn't even the worst part. I also tend to tie my self-worth to winning. Ooh, man, this is bad. My man is down atrocious. Word. So out of curiosity, like, what do y'all think about this? The biggest problem I see, tying the winning to self-worth. Now that's the biggest problem I personally notice. Mindset for the jump is immediately terrible. True, but I do think this is the biggest problem. If I had to guess, this is like a beginner / intermediate mindset. I mean, beginner and intermediate, I feel like a lot of this still makes sense because I could, especially me in particular, like I've been here where like I lose and I would get extremely salty. I do have maybe some tips though on like what you can do mechanically to try to get better. A lot of guys don't do this, and I've actually started to do this a lot more in the recents, but watching your replays are so important when it comes to trying to understand why you're losing. Because what I used to do, like literally, and I used to do this all the time. Why is my dog barking? I used to think that like a lot of hours I would put in, or the amount of time I put in, would eventually elevate my skills so much to the point where I wouldn't have to worry about like being successful in what I'm trying to accomplish during the match. Because that's the way I was also taught, because I come from like music. So in music they always teach you like, oh, you got to put more practice, and then eventually you're gonna get there because you put in that many hours. The problem with that mindset is that if you are just mindlessly playing or practicing or whatever, and you are just trying to do this one thing and it's not working for you, or you're trying to find why you're not improving, it's because you're not targeting specific things in what you are trying to do, or like actively learning, I guess. I do think there's a difference between actively learning and like passively learning. The way I used to do it, through just playing through sheer amount of hours, it would be through like passively learning, and it would just get me more familiar with the game. And that's the thing. I feel like a lot of the times when we have to put a lot of hours into a game or anything really, like if the mindset is just, all right, I need to put like 300 hours into the game and then I'll get good. But if you spend 300 hours not doing anything or not targeting what you actually need to improve on, like specifically, then you're not gonna properly improve, or you could be improving a lot slower. You're becoming more familiar with what you're doing, sure, but I mean, you're not actually getting better, or you're getting better at such a slow rate. It's worse if you have like some type of like ego, right? If you have, because I don't know this guy, but let's just assume that he does have an ego, because I don't know how he truly feels when he plays. But let's say if you do have somewhat of an ego and you're like, dang bro, I know that if I practice this and I feel like I'm better than the person and all that, but I'm still losing. I feel like having an ego when trying to improve is definitely a hindrance as well. Not, like I said, not saying that this guy does have one, but just say for the hypothetical, if you do, that also doesn't help. Because then like I would almost argue that he might, because he ties it to self-worth, which really you should not be doing, like, at all. I truly believe right now that if more people just took games as objective as possible, just focus on improvement, more people will ultimately understand what it takes to at least be decent. But but emotions get in the way a lot. Yeah, and that's mad true. Emotions can like really cloud judgment a lot of the time, and that's another reason why tying your wins and stuff to self-worth, or your losses to self-worth, is also really bad. Say you play like 50 games and then you lose like 45 of those games. That is gonna bring your self-worth from after you got out of the lab. Let's say you were about like right here, now you're like all the way like down here somewhere, like in the abyss. And honestly, if you want like a direct tip to combat this, you have to really, and it sounds a bit cliche, but bro, you really got to take the little things that you are doing and make those the height of your improvement for what you're trying to accomplish. let's not focus on the match entirely. Let's just focus on like the things that are happening within the match, right? Don't forget if you won or lost. Let's just focus on the stuff that's happening, the things that you did do good. So let's say that the opponent is jumping a lot, and you're like, dang, bro, like I just can't seem to stop his jumping, and because of whatever reason, you're focused on something else that he's doing for whatever reason, but you notice that he's jumping a lot. If you notice that he's jumping a lot, and let's say you're playing a first 3, and in that second game that you're playing with him, let's say he's up 2, you're down 0. In that second game you're playing, or third game, you anti-air him because in the other 2 games you knew that he was gonna start jumping a lot, and you were looking for the jump and you anti-air, and you successfully anti-air. That already in itself is an improvement. Things like that is what I'm trying to say. Like things like anti-airing, doing pressure string, or doing like a stagger string. Hitting even like a small combo could be like just a little achievement, especially if your execution is not that well. You don't need to hit, like in every fighting game, you don't need to hit the biggest combo ever. Like I don't think there's a fighting game that really requires you to do that. So instead of focusing on the whole match, or like, dang, I lost the match or whatever, because you could still be like, people generally can still be mad if they won a match, like me included. Like I will win matches, but then if I'm looking to do a certain thing, I'm upset at the loss because I didn't achieve what I wanted in the match. Even though I won the fight, sure, but I'm trying to improve on this thing. So if I didn't successfully do this thing, I can still be mad at a loss. Yeah, it all depends on like what we're talking about here. So like I said, I don't know this guy's complete background. I don't know if he's trying to compete. If I had to take a guess, it just sounds like he's trying to just get better at fighting games generally. But it would definitely depend on what he's trying to do, because he didn't really say a goal in mind, which is also kind of a problem with this. But if I think the goal should be to try to get rid of the feelings of not being demotivated and not tying your wins to self-worth. I feel like that should be the goal of this post, because you need to get rid of this in order to actually improve. Getting tilted and like, you know, getting upset at fighting games is a natural thing, but the thing is, it doesn't help you. And if you can remind yourself that getting tilted at fighting games, generally speaking, or really all the time, doesn't help you. Because alright, like you can sit there and complain about, oh, this move is rada and all that. Alright, cool, but how are you gonna stop? Like realistically speaking, if you're trying to improve, how are you gonna stop it? This is the logical mindset that has to take over instead of your emotional mindset. If you can think to yourself, okay, how do I stop this move? You know what you gotta go do? Back to the lab again, baby. Yes, sir. Back to the lab. You literally go to the training mode. You record the bot doing the move, and then you just think of different ways to stop it. I mean, granted, you can also like ask other people. You can look up a counterplay guide if there is one on said move. What counterplay to the character as a whole. That's a thing. But generally speaking, you would want to go to the training mode and find your own solution. It'll give you a better understanding of your character, and it will give you a better understanding of how to stop the move, and maybe the opponent's character, depending on like how many moves you're trying to stop. And you hit him with the rada mixed up. Yeah, all in all though, to sum this all up, I would just tell you that it's good that you at least notice that you're feeling this way, because some people don't talk about how they feel when they play games. But think about why you are actually losing, because right now you're talking about your feeling, and that's cool. This is like all basically feeling, but there's no actual objective reasons why you're losing here. And to find those objective reasons, you need to go into your replays, because honestly it's easiest to go into your replays, or you can have someone else look at your match footage and they can look at it from a different point of view that you might not be able to see it from. That's basically all I got for this one, I'm pretty sure.